Welcome back to Krishna Soul Sutra, the space where ancient wisdom meets modern chaos. I'm your host, and today we are diving into one of the most powerful and practical teachings ever spoken, Chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, the Yoga of Action. Now before you think this is going to be some abstract spiritual lecture about monks sitting in caves, let me stop you right there. This chapter is not for people escaping life. It is for people drowning in it. It is for the student who feels like their entire worth depends on one exam result. It is for the employee staring at Slack notifications at midnight. It is for the entrepreneur refreshing analytics every 10 minutes. It is for the creator checking likes before sleeping. It is for the parent carrying responsibilities silently. It is for the person who looks successful on Instagram but feels emotionally exhausted inside. Because modern life has created a strange kind of suffering. We are constantly active, but internally empty. Constantly connected, but emotionally disconnected. Constantly chasing, but never arriving. And that's exactly where Chapter 3 begins. Not with enlightenment. Not with peace, but with confusion. Arjuna is standing on the battlefield, mentally paralyzed. In the previous chapter, Krishna explained the wisdom of the soul, detachment, and inner awareness. So now Arjuna is confused. He basically asks Krishna, if spiritual wisdom is so important, then why are you asking me to act? Why push me into this difficult battle? And honestly, this is the same confusion many people have today. People think spirituality means escaping responsibility. They imagine peace as quitting the corporate job, deleting social media, moving to the mountains, and somehow becoming permanently calm. But Krishna says something revolutionary. You cannot escape action. Even choosing to do nothing is still a choice. Your mind keeps acting. Your emotions keep reacting. Life keeps moving. The real question is not whether you will act. The real question is, what is the energy behind your action? That is Karma Yoga. Not escaping work. Transforming your relationship with work. And that changes everything. Because today, most people are not tired because they work too much. They are tired because of emotional friction. They are carrying invisible mental weight all day long. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of missing out. Fear of not being enough. You send one email and then spend 2 hours overthinking how it sounded. You post one video and emotionally attach yourself to the views. You study one chapter but your brain is already imagining disappointing your parents. Your body is in the present. But your mind is trapped in the future. Krishna identifies this problem thousands of years ago. He explains that suffering does not come from action itself. It comes from attachment. And this is one of the deepest truths in the Gita. Because action can energize you. Meaningful work can uplift you. Service can heal you. But attachment poisons the experience. When your identity becomes dependent on results, every action becomes stressful. Then work is no longer an expression. It becomes survival. And look around today. People are turning their lives into performance reviews. Students feel like ranks define their value. Professionals feel like salaries define their identity. Creators feel like algorithms define their existence. One bad month and people feel worthless. That is not ambition. That is emotional slavery. Krishna wants to free Arjuna from this prison. And through this chapter, he also wants to free us. There's a verse in this chapter where Krishna explains that nobody can remain inactive even for a moment. This famous teaching is often misunderstood. People think Krishna is saying, don't care about results. That's not true. Krishna is not against goals. He is against psychological dependence on goals. There's a huge difference. A football player wants to win the match. But if fear of losing dominates his mind, his performance collapses. A musician wants to perform beautifully. But if they obsess over audience approval, anxiety takes over. A student wants good grades. But if their self-worth depends on marks, learning becomes torture. Krishna's wisdom is deeply practical. Focus fully on the process. Release obsessive attachment to the outcome. This is exactly what modern psychology calls flow state. Think about the moments when you performed your best. Maybe while playing sports. Maybe coding. Maybe painting. Maybe editing videos late at night when you lost track of time. In those moments, you were not obsessing over rewards. You became absorbed in the action itself. That is karma yoga in motion. The ego disappears. Only action remains. And ironically, that is when excellence emerges naturally. But modern culture trains us in the opposite direction. Everything today is outcome addiction. Views, followers, salary packages, placements, appraisals, virality, status symbols. Even self-care becomes performance. People meditate to become more productive. People exercise mainly for validation photos. People read books just to post quotes online. We are no longer living experiences. We are branding them. And slowly, this constant performance mentality creates burnout. Because the human nervous system was not designed to constantly seek external validation. Krishna's teaching is almost like therapy for the overstimulated modern mind. He says, do your duty. Give your best. Act wholeheartedly. But stop tying your soul to the result. Because results are never fully under your control. You can prepare perfectly for an interview and still get rejected. You can love someone sincerely and still lose them. You can work honestly and still face setbacks. If your peace depends only on external success, your peace will always remain fragile. Karma yoga builds a different kind of strength. Inner steadiness. A person who can work intensely without collapsing emotionally. And honestly, this is what modern society desperately needs. Because people today either become workaholics or escapists. Some drown themselves in endless hustle culture. Others become so overwhelmed that they avoid responsibility completely. Krishna offers a third path. Engaged action without inner chaos. Powerful effort without emotional destruction. Now Krishna introduces another fascinating idea in this chapter, yajna. Traditionally, yajna is translated as sacrifice or sacred offering. But in modern language, think of it as contribution. Krishna says life functions through mutual contribution. The sun gives light. Trees give oxygen. Rivers nourish land. Parents sacrifice for children. Teachers guide students. Existence itself is interconnected. But modern culture teaches hyper-individualism. Me first. My success. My image. My brand. My gain. And despite all technological progress, loneliness is exploding globally. Why? Because humans are not designed to live only for themselves. Krishna says when action becomes contribution, it becomes sacred. Think about a doctor genuinely helping patients. A teacher shaping young minds. A parent working tirelessly for family. A creator making content that genuinely uplifts people. There is a different energy in such work. It carries meaning. Today many people are not exhausted from hard work. They are exhausted from meaningless work. There's a huge difference. A person can work 16 hours joyfully when purpose is present. And another can feel dead after 2 hours of emotionally disconnected work. Purpose changes the nervous system. This is why Karma Yoga is not just productivity advice. It is spiritual psychology. Krishna is teaching how to align action with meaning. And then comes one of the most powerful leadership lessons ever spoken. Krishna says, "Whatever great people do, others follow." This verse is terrifyingly relevant today. Because we live in an age where influence spreads instantly. One influencer promotes shallow values, and millions imitate it. One toxic leader normalizes burnout culture, and entire organizations suffer. One parent constantly angry at home unknowingly shapes a child's emotional world forever. Leadership is no longer limited to politicians or CEOs. If people observe you, you are leading. Your younger sibling watches you. Your children absorb your behavior. Your team reflects your attitude. Your audience mirrors your energy. Krishna tells Arjuna that responsibility increases with influence. And modern culture rarely talks about this. Today everyone wants visibility. Few want responsibility. Everyone wants followers. Few ask, what energy am I spreading? Karma Yoga demands integrity. Not perfection. Integrity. Because people may forget your advice, but they absorb your example. Now let's bring all this into real life. Imagine a young corporate employee named Rohan. He wakes up already anxious. Checks emails before brushing his teeth. Attends endless meetings. Feels constantly replaceable. Secretly fears being left behind by peers earning more money. At night he scrolls LinkedIn and feels worse. Everyone seems more successful, more productive, more accomplished. Slowly, work stops being work. It becomes psychological warfare. Now imagine Rohan applying Karma Yoga. Not quitting his job. Not abandoning ambition. But changing his inner relationship with effort. Instead of obsessing over office politics, he focuses on excellence in today's work. Instead of constantly seeking validation, he develops craftsmanship. Instead of comparing salaries every hour, he improves his actual abilities. Something shifts internally. Anxiety reduces. Presence increases. Performance improves naturally. Because scattered energy becomes focused energy. Now think about students. This generation faces pressure previous generations never experienced. Earlier, comparison happened inside classrooms. Today comparison happens globally through social media. A student opens Instagram for 5 minutes and suddenly sees. Someone cracked IIT. Someone got into Harvard. Someone launched a startup at 19. Someone became a millionaire through crypto. And instantly they feel behind in life. This constant comparison creates silent panic. Many students are not studying from curiosity anymore. They are studying from fear. Fear of disappointing parents. Fear of becoming irrelevant. Fear of social judgment. Krishna's teaching becomes deeply healing here. He would say, your duty is sincere effort. Not obsessive comparison. Study fully. Prepare honestly. Improve steadily. But stop poisoning your mind with imagined futures every 5 minutes. Because anxiety steals energy from action. And here's the irony. The more attached people become to success, the more mentally unstable they become during the journey. Karma Yoga teaches emotional endurance. The ability to keep moving without collapsing internally. Now let's talk about creators and entrepreneurs. This chapter almost feels written for the digital age. Because creators today live inside algorithms. One video performs well and they feel amazing. Next video flops and they question their identity. Mood becomes controlled by analytics. This is dangerous. Because once your emotional state depends on external metrics, you lose inner freedom. Krishna would tell creators, create because expression is your duty. Serve through your work. Improve your craft relentlessly. But do not hand your peace to numbers. Because algorithms are unstable. Purpose is not. And this applies beyond content creation. Entrepreneurs face uncertainty constantly. Business owners deal with risk daily. Freelancers live with unpredictability. Karma Yoga does not remove uncertainty. It gives you the mental framework to survive it gracefully. Act courageously. Adapt intelligently. Detach psychologically. That balance creates resilience. And then Krishna addresses another powerful truth, desire and anger. He explains that uncontrolled desire eventually transforms into frustration and anger. And honestly, this explains modern emotional instability perfectly. Today people are overstimulated constantly. Advertising tells you that you are incomplete without more. More money. More beauty. More status. More attention. The mind becomes trapped in endless craving. And when reality fails to satisfy fantasy, frustration explodes. This is why small inconveniences trigger massive emotional reactions today. People are mentally overloaded. Krishna identifies desire without awareness as a destructive force. Not because desire itself is evil, but because unconscious desire controls behavior. Karma Yoga teaches mastery over impulses. It teaches acting from clarity instead of compulsion. That is real freedom. Not doing whatever you feel like, but not becoming a slave to every emotion. Now here's something important. Karma Yoga does not mean becoming passive or emotionally numb. Krishna is not asking Arjuna to stop caring. He is asking him to stop becoming psychologically imprisoned by outcomes. There's a massive difference. A detached person is not lazy. A detached person is stable. In fact, detached people often perform better because fear does not cloud their intelligence. Imagine a surgeon panicking emotionally during surgery. Imagine a pilot obsessing about failure while flying. Imagine an athlete frozen by fear during a final match. Attachment weakens precision. Presence strengthens it. This is why Karma Yoga is also peak performance philosophy. It teaches emotional regulation under pressure. And honestly, modern education systems desperately need this wisdom. Schools teach students how to compete. Rarely how to remain mentally balanced while competing. Companies teach employees how to increase productivity. Rarely how to preserve inner peace while working. Social media teaches visibility. Rarely emotional stability. Krishna's teaching fills that gap. Now let's make this deeply practical. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, try this experiment. Before opening your phone, ask yourself, what is my duty today? Not your fantasy future. Not your fear. Not your insecurity. Just today. Maybe your duty is preparing sincerely for class. Maybe it is taking care of your child. Maybe it is showing up honestly at work. Maybe it is finishing that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Then while doing that task, notice how often your mind escapes into outcomes. What if I fail? What will people think? What if this doesn't work? That mental noise drains life energy. Karma Yoga invites you back into the present moment. Back into focused action. One action. One moment. One breath at a time. And something beautiful happens when you live like this. Ordinary life becomes meaningful again. Washing dishes becomes mindfulness. Writing emails becomes discipline. Studying becomes self-respect. Working becomes contribution. Parenting becomes sacred service. Life stops feeling fragmented. You stop living only for weekends. And this is important because modern people are emotionally postponing life. I'll be happy after promotion. I'll relax after exams. I'll enjoy life after success. But that destination keeps moving forever. Krishna says peace is not waiting at the end of action. Peace can exist within action itself. That is the miracle of Karma Yoga. And maybe this is why the Gita remains timeless. Because human technology has evolved. Human psychology has not. People thousands of years ago struggled with fear, ego, insecurity, comparison, anger, and confusion. We still do. Only now the battlefield fits inside smartphones. The war is psychological. And Chapter 3 becomes a survival guide for modern existence. Before we close today's episode, I want you to pause for a moment. Think about the biggest source of stress in your life right now. Maybe it's career uncertainty. Maybe relationship pressure. Maybe financial struggle. Maybe fear of failure. Now ask yourself honestly. Are you suffering because of the action itself? Or because of the emotional attachment surrounding it? That question can change your life. Because once attachment loosens, clarity increases. And from clarity comes strength. Not fake motivational strength. Not hustle culture aggression. But calm, grounded strength. The kind Krishna wanted Arjuna to discover before stepping into battle. So today, try becoming a Karma Yogi. Do your work fully. Speak honestly. Act responsibly. Serve sincerely. But stop measuring your soul through external outcomes. Because your value is deeper than success metrics. And remember this. You are entitled to effort. Not guaranteed outcomes. But when effort becomes pure, peaceful, and purposeful, something extraordinary happens. Work no longer burns you. It transforms you. Thank you for joining me on Krishna Soul Sutra. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone silently carrying the weight of modern life. Subscribe to continue this journey through the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. In our next episode, we'll explore Chapter 4, the Yoga of Knowledge, and uncover why Krishna says wisdom can burn away confusion like fire. Until then, keep acting with purpose, keep living with awareness, and keep protecting your inner peace. Jai Shri Krishna.